So the first skill you need for percentages is to convert between percentages, decimals and fractions. So we're going back sort of year 7 kind of level now. So we have percentages, decimals and fractions. Alright, quick revision. If I am going to convert a percentage into a decimal, what do I do? So I have a percentage, say it's 123%. How do I make that a decimal? Divide by 100, that's it. Which is really simple because we can just jump our decimal point back twice. Super easy. If I'm going to turn my percentage into a fraction, say I had 123, I want to turn it into a percent, I want to turn it into a fraction, what do I do?
You do the same, divide by 100, you set it as a fraction. So
You set it as a fraction. Because divide and is the same as over 100. So instead of doing divide by 100, we would write over 100. Make sure you check if it simplifies. Okay, so 123 is my example and 100 doesn't simplify, but plenty of others do, so make sure you check that. If I have a decimal, so say I have 0.04, how do I convert that into a percentage? Times by 100. That's it. If I have a fraction, how do I convert to a percentage? Times by 100. We're very quiet today. Alright, so are we all good with that? We're doing a couple of really quick examples. So say I have 0.015 and I also have 3/8. Each of these I want to turn into a percentage. So I'm making it into a percentage, I multiply by 100. The decimals are really easy. Just dump my decimal point along twice, and I'm going to get 1.5%. 3/8, I'm going to multiply by 100. Okay, 3 on 8 times 100, what do I end up getting? 75.
77.5.
75 over 2 is an unusual way to say percentage. Okay, we prefer to say 37.5% or 37.5%, even though that is correct as an improper fraction. Okay, so we say 37.5% or 37.5%, they're fine. Alright, say I had 127% and 5.2%. Alright, those two, I want to make them decimals and fractions. So 127%, what's that as a decimal? 1.27? That is not a 7, is it? 127%, what is that as a fraction? 127 on 100. Does that simplify? No. Okay, 5.2%, what's that as a decimal? 0.052. So I'm going to jump back twice. 0.052. And 5.2% as a fraction. Am I allowed to say 5.2 on 100? No, that's not a fraction. Alright, fraction is going to have a whole number top and bottom. So if I can't do 5.2 on 100, what am I going to do? 52 on 1,000. Excellent. Yes, you have to simplify. So clearly 52 on 1,000 does simplify. What does it give us?
13 on 200.
13 on 250. Okay, so you must simplify. So you halve it, you get 26 on 500, halve again, 13 on 250. We all cool with the conversions? Okay. Next thing we looked at was finding a percentage. So, for example, if I said find 21% of 870, what do I do?
101% is times by 21.
How do I do that?
Like, you have to divide 870 by 100 and then times it by 1.
Yep, that's one way of doing it. That's correct. Yep.
Times it by 0.21.
Times it by 0.21, that's going to be quicker, isn't it? Okay, so your way is correct, that's the unitary method. and that will be helpful for trickier questions, but this is a pretty basic question. So 21% of 870, I can just make that 21% a decimal, it's 0.21, and simply do 0.21 times 870. That will also give me the same answer. So on your calculator, what does that give you?
182.7.
182.7. All right. Now we could also have a question that's a bit trickier. That we've got to find the original number. So this is where that idea of a unit 2 method is going to be really helpful. So I'm going to say 24% of a number is, I don't know, let's go with 680. Find the number. Okay, how do I do this one?
You divide 680 by 24.
I divide by 24, well done. Okay, so the key to do this question properly is to recognise that 680 is 24%. So dividing by 24 will give me the 1%, and then I'm going to times by 100 to make it the full amount. Okay, so if I do 680, divide it by 24, what does that give me? So 28.3 repeater. Okay, so that's found 1%. So if I wanted the full amounts now, I would do 28.3 repeater times by 100. Now for this question, let's just give it correct to one decimal place. So 283.3 repeater, 833.3 repeater to one decimal place, we'll just have a 0.3. 2833.3, that's to one decimal place. Okay, so the unitary method means you must recognise that you don't have the full amount and that you need to find 1%, then find the full. Percentage increase and decrease. These questions have more than one way of doing it, a quick way and a longer way. So say I wanted to increase $57 by 9%. Okay? Anyone going to suggest a method?
Times it by 1.09.
Beautiful, that's the quick method. What's the long method? Okay, so the longer method is to find the 9% of the amount, and then
I was thinking you might find 1% of the times by 9.
yep, and then you still got to add it onto the original to get the increase by. So that will be a long method.
Yeah.
So what we've recognised as a faster method there is say, well, we've got 100% of the amount. We want 9% more. So really, we actually want 109%. So the quickest way to do the question is say, let's just go straight to finding 109%. 109% as a decimal is 1.09. So the quickest way to do the question is to do 1.09 times 57. So our calculator can do that for us. Now because I chose money, you use two decimal places, it only had 2 in the first place anyway. So $62.13. Always give money to two decimal places. Okay? What if I had a decrease? Say I want to decrease 580 kilograms by 7%. What's the quick way to do this?
Well, you can do the same thing as the other one, minus.
Yeah, so something to do with minusing, yeah?
Would you do 580 times 23?
93%.
Sorry.
Why did you choose 93%?
Because it's 7 less than 100.
We know we want 7% less than the full amount. The full amount is always 100%. Okay, so 7% less than 100 will be 93%. So the quickest way to do this question is to straight away just find 93% of it. The slow way is to find 7%, and once you've got your answer, subtract it off. They'll both give you the same answer, okay? But the quickest way is to go straight to 93%, which of course as a decimal is 0.93. And we're going to multiply that by 580. So 0.93 times 580, which is 539.4 kilograms. Okay. The next type of question, the trickier one, was to combine this idea of trying to find the original number and an increase-decrease. The most common example of this is GST. Okay, what percentage is GST? In Australia, it's 10%. Currently up for negotiation in the government at the moment, but currently the rules have not changed. It is 10%. So if I said a bill is $890, including GST, find the cost without tax. We're combining the two ideas of increase and unitary method. What do I need to know?
$890 is 110%, so you divide it by 110.
Well done.
1%.
Excellent. So the first thing to recognise is I have more than the full bill, because the full bill will be 100%, but I've paid 10% more. So I have to recognise that I have 110%. I then use the unitary method to find 1%, so I'm going to take 890, I'm going to divide by 110, and that's going to give me what 1% is. So it's 8 point, oh, some sort of horrible decimal. Blah, blah, blah. That is what 1% is. Now you've got to read the question carefully. This time I wanted the cost without the GST. So I'm going to times by 100 to find the full bill. Sometimes they say, what is the GST? What would I times by then? I'd times by 10 because they've given me I've calculated what 1% is. So if I want the tax, I'd times by 10. So make sure you're reading that question really carefully. So I'm going to take 8.09, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to times it by 100, which will give you $809.09. Okay, that covers most of the skills that we looked at in percentages. I'm going to give you a booklet now to practice those.